My name is Claire. During my pregnancy, I received an anonymous text urging me to catch my boyfriend cheating at a club. The message read, "Your boyfriend is having an affair. Come see for yourself at room 508. Mystic K Club." With my prominent baby bump, I rushed to the venue. The private room pulsed with dim, colorful lighting, its door slightly ajar. Don't even mention Claire. She's become so ugly and bloated that I'm embarrassed to call her my girlfriend in public. His voice carried through the crack. Last time I went home, I almost gagged at the sight of her. I froze. He'd last visited 2 weeks prior. I remembered asking if my pregnancy-induced weight gain made me unattractive. He'd called me a goddess nurturing our love's miracle. And I'd foolishly believed him. Now I understood his true revulsion. He'd barely come home since my pregnancy began, always claiming work obligations. How ironic his busy schedule had led him straight to this den of debauchery. Hidden in shadows. Anguish washed over me in waves. Tears streamed down my face as I witnessed my boyfriend's intimate embrace with another woman. His next words stabbed through me, "Emma is so much better." The man I'd trusted had become a stranger. My nails dug crescent moons into my palms as I fought to contain emotions threatening to drown me. Their interaction played out like some grotesque romance, her radiant smile met by his tender, adoring gaze. Each loving glance felt like glass shards tearing through my heart. My entire worldview shattered. The fairy tale love I'd believed in lay in ruins, replaced by bitter reality. How could I have been so blind? Why hadn't I seen through his deception? The universe seemed to mock me with this cruel joke. The final betrayal came into focus. The woman in his arms was Emma. My own sister. 3 years ago, she'd left the country for acting opportunities, abandoning her then boyfriend. Now she nestled against my partner. The image burning into my retinas. She pecked his cheek, her voice honeyed with faux remorse. "Darling, this is all my fault. I shouldn't have left without explaining. Can you ever forgive me?" Her performance of vulnerability was Oscar-worthy, casting herself as the wounded party while I became the interloper in my own tragedy. My boyfriend, no. This imposter, stroked her hair comfortingly. "It's okay, Emma. That's all in the past." As I watched my sister and the man who'd sworn to protect me console each other, acid churned in my stomach. Their whispered exchange continued. "Silly Emma." He kissed her with possessive intensity. "How could I stay angry with you?" Their chemistry crackled with toxic intimacy. A bond forged through betrayal. But what about my sister Claire? Emma's childish pout would have been laughable under different circumstances. She nestled deeper into his embrace, playing the anxious ingenue to perfection. He rubbed circles on her back. "Don't blame yourself, sweetheart. This is mutual. Once she delivers the baby, I'll end things." Their plan was so well defined. Where does that leave me? We're not married yet anyway. The way she looks now. She doesn't deserve me. Ethan's voice dripped with contempt, fueling my anger and heartbreak. I'd loved him deeply, never imagining he'd demean me behind my back. Our friends kept praising Ethan as some romantic warrior. They marveled at how he'd supposedly abandoned all caution for love, painting him as this fearless champion of devotion. Every mention of his bravery stabbed like needles. I alone knew the ugly truth beneath their admiration. To them, Ethan and Emma were the perfect couple while I became the home-wrecking clown who stole their fairy tale romance. 5 months pregnant with no wedding in sight because Ethan claimed pregnancy would ruin my bridal appearance. He'd caress my belly murmuring, "Darling, why rush? Let's wait until after the baby for a grand celebration when you're back to your perfect self." I'd melt imagining our little family at the altar, blind to the pattern emerging. His excuses kept multiplying. First work demands, then sudden concerns about preserving my pregnancy glow. What I'd mistaken for affection now revealed itself as avoidance. The man who'd once brought me coffee after every shoot, nursed me through fevers, and called me his muse now recoiled from my changing body. He'd forgotten I was the runway model men fought to date, the woman who chose his sincere gestures over wealthy suitors' flashy gifts. The cruelest twist? His sisterly bond with Emma wasn't familial at all. While I sacrificed my career for our future, They'd kindled an affair behind my swollen belly. The same hands that wiped my morning sickness tears now traced her model curves. My pregnancy became his excuse. My devotion his joke. Yet he'll learn, this ruined bride still knows how to command the spotlight. They did such disgusting things. Yet still pretended to be loving in front of me. I couldn't accept this reality. My heart aching as if pierced by knives. I felt both ashamed and furious for them. How could they treat me this way? Rage surged through me like a violent storm, suffocating my chest. My heart seemed crushed by an invisible fist, each beat radiating excruciating pain. I tried to steady my breathing, but the air felt thin, every inhale laced with icy despair and betrayal. Beads of sweat glistened on my forehead under the club's garish. Flickering lights meant to symbolize joy now twisted into mocking sneers. My head throbbed as if splitting apart, every nerve screaming that this nightmare was real. Leaning against a cold wall for fleeting comfort, I closed my eyes only to see Ethan and Lucy's intertwined figures, their laughter echoing cruelly. Then the pelvic pain began. My hand instinctively cradled my belly. This child, once symbolizing our love, now felt like an unbearable weight. Ethan's tender touches and vows to raise our child together now seemed grotesque lies. He didn't deserve fatherhood. Grief and fury churned as I slumped against the wall, dizziness overwhelming me. Just as darkness threatened, strong arms caught me. A stranger with urgent eyes steadied me against a chair. His warmth felt more real than anything tonight. My voice failed as he declared. I'm taking you to the hospital. We hurried through dim corridors to a waiting black sedan. He settled me inside with practiced efficiency, the car humming to life. Through hazy consciousness, I heard distant words. You should have seen his true colors sooner. Pelvic agony intensified until reality dissolved into nothingness. Time suspending as darkness claimed me. Chapter 3, Intervention. Just as I was about to lose consciousness completely, a figure materialized in my blurred vision. His face looked grave under the dim light, eyes radiating urgent intensity. Without speaking, the stranger swiftly grabbed surgical tools nearby, his movements precise and clinical. Though I couldn't see details through the haze, I felt his hands working rapidly across my body, steady, practiced motions of someone accustomed to emergencies. A strange calm washed over me despite the chaos. This man's competence became my lifeline, his presence a flare cutting through suffocating darkness. When I awoke in the hospital bed, the sterile smell of disinfectant burned my nostrils. Blinking at the white ceiling, I tried moving but felt crushed by invisible weights. A cacophony of voices surrounded me as blurred faces crowded the room. Claire. Thank God you're awake. My in-laws clutched my hands, their relief tinged with lingering panic. Their sudden devotion since learning of my pregnancy disgusted me. Every gesture reeked of obligation to the Joe family air I carried. How are you feeling? Ethan pushed past his parents, voice thick with manufactured concern. I forced a weak smile. His performance intensified as he elbowed forward, clasping my hand with theatrical remorse. This is all my fault, Claire. I've been too consumed by work. Every syllable rang hollow. The man who'd once been my anchor now repelled me, his cologne-stained breath triggering visceral revulsion as he leaned in for a performative kiss. I turned my face away sharply. Right. He chuckled awkwardly, recovering with practiced ease. We shouldn't embarrass everyone. He busied himself arranging dishes on a bedside tray. Look how much Emma cares, she made all your favorites. My sister, Emma, approached holding a thermos, her smile radiant with counterfeit warmth. I simmered bone broth for hours. Claire. She perched on the mattress, blowing gently on a spoonful of steaming liquid. As she leaned forward to feed me, her fingers brushed Ethan's collar, a fleeting touch that sparked electric eye contact between them. The moment crystallized with brutal clarity. Where I'd once seen sibling devotion, I now recognized conspiratorial intimacy. Their shared glance pierced through me sharper than any scalpel, exposing rot festering beneath years of lies. If I hadn't already known about their affair, I might have been deeply moved by this scene. I'd have thought myself incredibly fortunate to have such a caring sister and a seemingly devoted husband. But the brutal truth revealed their carefully constructed lies. Now, rage burned through me, nothing but disgust and hatred remained. These two people I'd once considered closest to me now made my skin crawl. Their hypocrisy and betrayal shattered my trust in an instant. Anger and despair choked me. The pain beyond words. Get out. Take that away. I finally snapped, shoving Emma away. The spoonful of soup splashed onto her arm, followed by the entire bowl clattering to the floor. Broth and ceramic shards scattered everywhere. Ah! Emma clutched her reddening arm, trembling as she reached for the broken pieces. Her wide, confused eyes locked on me, as if asking why I'd transformed into this stranger. Ethan rushed to stop her. Careful, you'll cut yourself. His urgent concern for her safety hung thick in the air. When he turned to glare at me, his face darkened with fury. His clenched fists betrayed the outrage he barely contained over how I'd treated his lover. He inspected Emma's arm, voice softening. Does it hurt? His fingertips grazed her skin with feather-light worry. She bit her lip. It's nothing. Don't blame Claire. Her whisper carried forced calm. She just woke up from surgery and is hormonal, it's understandable. Ethan's jaw tightened, storm clouds gathering in his expression. Claire, he barked, pointing at me. This is your sister. You had a minor procedure, stop acting out. His words stabbed like knives, each syllable dripping with contempt. I gripped the hospital bedsheet, a sneer twisting my lips. A minor procedure? The phrase echoed mockingly. Right. Just the life I'd risked carrying his child. Just the soul-crushing discovery of their affair. Just the suffocating betrayal they expected me to swallow. Now, to everyone here, Emma was the saintly victim while I played the unhinged villain. Helplessness washed over me. They were a united front, I'd always be the outsider. Forced to watch their charade, choke on their lies. Ethan kept his grip on Emma's hand. Voice clipped. Let's get this treated, we're already at the hospital. His parents' presence clearly sharpened his performative concern. Before leaving, he threw me a searing glance. Rest. And reflect on your behavior. The quiet venom beneath his words stung worst of all. Not anger, disgust. The kind reserved for something broken beyond repair. To him, I was no longer the woman he'd loved. Just a hysterical shadow he couldn't wait to erase. I used to only see the superficial side of him. Back then, love had blinded me, making me oblivious to everything about him. His tenderness, thoughtfulness, and care once swept me into an inescapable whirlpool of emotions. But now, upon closer inspection, his true colors became glaringly obvious. His hypocrisy, indifference, and cruelty stood fully exposed at this moment. My heart had been veiled before, never truly seeing his real nature. Before they could leave, I steeled myself and called out to Ethan. I knew if I didn't speak now, I might never get another chance. I needed to voice everything in my heart before he walked away. He needed to know I'd seen through his facade. I wasn't that gullible girl he could manipulate anymore. Ethan Joe. We're done. My voice trembled slightly but carried unwavering resolve. My gaze locked with his without flinching. Let him understand my decision was final. His puppet had cut the strings. What? Ethan sounded genuinely shocked, his composure cracking. Claire. Don't say things you'll regret. His attempt at calmness faltered, anxiety bleeding through his eyes. You're breaking up over a few harsh words? This is beyond childish. His ignorant selfishness twisted like a knife in my chest. Emma, sensing trouble, intervened with tearful urgency. Claire, don't be rash. This is my fault. Her gaze dropped meaningfully. Besides, you're carrying his child. My eyes fell on their still intertwined hands. Even amidst this breakup, they refused to let go. That silent confession of attachment only solidified my resolve. I wouldn't be the betrayed woman left weeping. I'd reclaim my dignity first. Had 3 years apart made their old flame burn brighter? The answer finally dawned on me. To Ethan, I'd always been temporary. Why cling to what was never mine? Those wounds would scar, but not define me. A frosty smile touched my lips. I'll terminate the pregnancy. The words detonated in the hospital room. Ethan's face drained of color. Genuine shock replacing his earlier act. His parents erupted in panic. Mrs. Joe grasped my shoulder with forced gentleness. Claire dear. Once the baby comes, you and Ethan can marry properly. Don't throw this away over petty arguments. Mr. Joe nodded urgently. You've been together so long. This child is a blessing, don't make impulsive decisions. Their desperate pleas echoed hollowly. This child, Ethan's child, would only chain me to their toxic web. I refused to let his betrayal become my life sentence. His tone was filled with gravity and warning. His eyes revealing deep anxiety and unease. I desperately wanted to tell them Ethan had never loved me. This thought had haunted me for ages. I once believed our relationship was genuine. Something that could withstand time. Now it's clear that was merely my own delusion. This isn't some impulsive decision. In fact, I've contemplated this extensively, weighing countless factors. I know what this child means to me. But I can't let him become my burden and torment. Mr. Joe shot Ethan a piercing glare. Come here this instant. You little rascal. Fury and resentment saturated his voice. His eyes reflecting profound disappointment and concern. He clearly disapproved of Ethan's actions. Ethan immediately released Emma's hand and returned to the hospital bed. His face ashen with terror and confusion. He clearly didn't know how to face this situation. You're a man, Ethan. You should cherish your wife regardless of circumstances. Mrs. Joe admonished with maternal sternness. Her eyes blazing with disapproval and heartache. How could you speak to her like that earlier? Ethan finally mumbled a half-hearted apology laced with performative remorse. His eyes glittered with calculation. The insincerity dripping from his every word. Then he crouched down with manufactured tenderness. You're still the same old Claire. Always so dramatic. His saccharine tone reeked of manipulation as he resumed his sickening Prince Charming act. Good thing I'm patient enough to handle your moods. I nearly gagged watching this Oscar-worthy performance. Did he truly believe some fake apology and honeyed words could erase his betrayal? In the past, his gaslighting tactics would have had me apologizing for breathing. Convinced every conflict was my fault. But the spell broke. The manipulated girl who tolerated his lies died months ago. Don't pretend you don't know why I'm furious. I spat. Venom lacing every syllable. You're not fooling anyone with this act anymore. My trembling hands betrayed me. But my resolve didn't. For the first time, I refused to swallow my rage to protect his fragile ego. Emma had mysteriously vanished from the doorway, perhaps tending her wounds elsewhere. Literally or metaphorically. Frankly, her absence brought relief. Our twisted triangle had unraveled completely. No more walking on eggshells. No more stolen glances. Only scorched earth remained. Turning to the Joes, I drew breath to expose every sordid detail of Ethan's affairs. Mr. and Mrs. Joe, your son has been, my voice cracked but held firm. Ready to detonate this grenade of truth. 3 sharp knocks interrupted. The doctor entered. Scanning the tense room. The patient needs rest. He stated firmly. Family must leave immediately. His stethoscope swung like a pendulum sealing Ethan's temporary reprieve. His voice carried an air of unwavering certainty that radiated professionalism and authority. Silently reminding everyone present that my physical condition took priority. The fluorescent lights made his white coat appear almost luminous. Instilling both security and trust. Being medical professionals. The others couldn't argue. Mr. and Mrs. Joe exchanged understanding nods. They knew the doctor prioritized my recovery and wanted to prevent emotional agitation from worsening my injuries. Ethan shot me a resentful look before finally turning to exit the room. Aware this wasn't the time for arguments. His lingering backward glance before closing the door betrayed utter bewilderment at my earlier words. The truth was simple, I'd seen through his facade and severed emotional ties. No more deception. No more puppet strings. My rebirth had begun. The physician settled beside me with a chart. His calming presence contrasting with my inner turmoil. Selecting an apple from the bedside table, he began peeling it with surgical precision, the spiraling red skin reflecting his meticulous nature. Such perfect fruit deserves appreciation, he murmured, the knife moving like a conductor's baton. His mundane actions somehow radiated quiet reverence for life itself, a beacon of humanity in this sterile environment. Yet frustration simmered beneath my forced composure. Ethan's interrupted confrontation left bitter ashes in my mouth. The betrayal's flames still licked at my reason, demanding justice. Claire, breathe, the doctor instructed, extending the flawlessly peeled fruit. Moon-pale flesh gleamed in his palm. If you want them stripped bare like this apple, exposed under heaven's gaze to face consequences. The metaphor struck deep. Would Ethan and Emma truly reap what they'd sown? His following words vibrated with quiet conviction. They'll pay. Not empty comfort but ironclad certainty. As if reading fate's ledger. Confusion spiked. How did he know about my cheating boyfriend and traitorous sister? My surgeon suddenly seemed layered with secrets. That cryptic text. My fingers trembled accessing my phone. You sent this? The damning evidence glowed between us, the anonymous message exposing their hotel rendezvous. His lips curved slightly as he nodded. Recognition crashed over me. This composed man had orchestrated the entire revelation. My pulse thundered with unanswered questions. Yet his steady gaze held both apology and promise. Then, was it you who rescued me at the club? I probed cautiously, my heart swirling with confusion and curiosity. He nodded faintly, his expression devoid of hesitation or evasion, though my suspicions had been partially confirmed. Unease still coiled in my chest. Who was this man? Why had he been at that club? Why save me? A complete stranger. Yet he knew intimate details of my life and vowed to make those cheating bastards pay. What scheme was he plotting? Chapter 6, Motives. I studied him intently, searching his eyes for answers. His gaze remained placid as still water, unflinching under scrutiny. He seemed unfazed by my distrust, his composure unervingly perfect. Yet instinct screamed that hidden motives lurked beneath that calm facade. The more I pondered, the more his identity morphed into an inscrutable enigma, a shadowy puzzle I couldn't solve. Noticing my prolonged stare, he adjusted his glasses and broke the silence first. Ms. Evans, he began, a thread of tension weaving through his voice. I'm Ben Shen, your fan. The words tumbled out with rehearsed earnestness, as if preempting disbelief. I learned about your boyfriend and sister's affair. Couldn't stand seeing you deceived. So I took matters into my own hands. His fingers tightened imperceptibly on the armrest. I knew confronting you at the club carried risks. But some truths need witnessing firsthand. I took another deliberate bite of apple, the crisp sweetness clashing with the sour tang of doubt. As a model, I'd once commanded legions of followers. But pregnancy had quieted that storm of adoration. Most fans had drifted away like receding tides, leaving only scattered shells of casual interest. Yet here sat this man, materializing from the void with disturbingly precise knowledge. Coincidence? Or calculated maneuver? 3 nicknames, I challenged suddenly, knife glinting as I picked up the fruit blade. The ones I gave my true supporters. What are they? He froze. Sweat beaded at his temple. My grip tightened on the knife handle. Who are you really? What's your game? After an eternity. He exhaled sharply. Fine. You deserve the truth. Leaning forward, his gaze sharpened into corporate steel. The Shins, my family, are the Zoe Group's biggest rivals. The admission clicked like a safe-cracked tumbler. Of course, the Shin conglomerate, eternally locked in boardroom wars with Ethan Joe's empire. This wasn't fandom. This was corporate warfare. I set down the knife slowly, the metallic taste of betrayal replacing apple's tang. Across from me, Ben Shin, scion, spy, self-proclaimed savior, awaited judgment with the patience of a chess master. The game had just begun. Ben's arrival was no accident, every step had been meticulously planned. His voice brimmed with calculated charm as he painted visions of promise. What do you say we collaborate? Claire? The man's eyes narrowed with merchant shrewdness, his penetrating gaze seeming to plumb the depths of human ambition. He knew precisely what I craved and what I could offer him in return. This was mutually beneficial alchemy. Though neither of us pretended to ignore the razor's edge we walked. The Shins and Joe family are locked in a bidding war for the waterfront development. Ben continued, intensity sharpening his tone. Securing those rival proposals would tip the scales decisively in Shin Corporation's favor against their generational rivals. Deliver me those documents. He leaned forward, a predator's gleam in his eyes. And I'll help you drag those backstabbing lovers from their gilded pedestals. The vow hung between us, a grenade pin already pulled. He'd done his homework. This cunning operator. My hatred for Ethan and Emma was no secret. Nor was their humiliating betrayal. Deal. The word left my lips frostier than winter air. Dangerous? Undoubtedly. But when life hands you a serpent, you grip it behind the jaws. Ben's smile bloomed like poison ivy. Rising, he brushed confident fingertips against my shoulder. Then we have an accord. His certainty felt almost contagious as I met his gaze. Resolve crystallizing in my chest. No more cowering, this war required new weapons. The enemy of my enemy had become my temporary ally. In this cutthroat arena, shared interests forged stranger partnerships. Ben sought corporate domination, I craved personal annihilation. Our ambitions aligned with brutal elegance. His scheme unfolded with Machiavellian brilliance, not merely undermining Joe Enterprises through business maneuvers, but orchestrating the public unmasking of Ethan and Emma's affair. Twin destructions, corporate and reputational. The risks of dancing with this devil paled against the reward of watching those traitors crumble. When Dr. Shin departed, silence reclaimed the hospital room but not my racing thoughts. Each heartbeat pulsed with fresh loathing for the couple who'd stolen everything. Their betrayal had been complete, my trust, my future, my dignity all sacrificed at the altar of their greed. Ethan arrived bearing lilies and practiced remorse. Claire. Please, his honeyed voice dripped saccharine regret. Eyes glistening with manufactured tenderness. Once, this charade might have worked. Now it curdled my stomach. Chapter 7. Calculated smiles. The man knelt at my bedside, weaving promises like spider silk, wedding bells after the baby came. Eternal devotion. You're the only one I want, he murmured, fingertips grazing mine. Every syllable echoed hollow. Another lie in the museum of his deceptions. I let him babble, savoring the irony. His greatest mistake wasn't the affair, but underestimating how thoroughly he'd taught me to recognize falsehoods. The flowers would wilt. The apologies would fade. But the reckoning I'd orchestrate? That would endure. If I hadn't personally overheard Ethan calling me fat and disgusting to Emma at the club, I might have fallen for his sweet talk. But the old Claire who trusted easily was gone. I'd seen through his charming facade to the manipulative snake beneath. His theatrical apology almost made me laugh. Here was the CEO of the Joe family's empire groveling like a lovesick puppy. Playing along. I pouted. You should have told me sooner. Let him think I'd swallowed his lies hook, line and sinker. His arms tightened around me as he murmured, Claire, I'll make it up to you. The epitome of a remorseful boyfriend. During my hospital stay, Ethan became the model partner. Custom snacks from that boutique bakery I loved? Check. Obscenely expensive limited edition gifts? Delivered daily. Forced laughter at his terrible dad jokes? I deserved an Oscar for that performance. To outsiders, we were relationship goals, the reformed playboy and his forgiving girlfriend. Meanwhile, Emma's calls lit up his silenced phone. My famous half-sister's concern reeked of hypocrisy. Ethan avoided her like expired milk, shooting me anxious glances that screamed, see? I'm loyal now. Little did he know I'd screenshot every ignored notification. Ethan, you're the best, I cooed, nuzzling his shoulder. His smug smile made my skin crawl. Let him enjoy this charade while it lasted. We settled into sickening domesticity. I'd ask about his work with wide-eyed interest, extracting bid numbers and project timelines between kisses. His careless chatter about the Riverside development tender? Music to my ears. Every confidential detail became ammunition in my arsenal. The fool actually believed we'd reconciled. Didn't notice my lingering glances at his unlocked laptop. Couldn't sense the cold calculation behind my affectionate touches. Soon, Ethan would learn what happens when you underestimate Claire. Karma's a bitch, and I'd be wearing her favorite stilettos when I destroyed him. A week later, once my pregnancy was stable, Ethan came to discharge me from the hospital. He appeared in good spirits, chattering about future plans while packing my belongings. His eager smile suggested genuine enthusiasm for resuming our so-called happy life together. Though I knew better than to trust this performance. When Ethan left to settle the medical bills, Ben and I found ourselves alone in the tension-charged hallway. Our locked gaze communicated volumes, his eyes reflecting steely resolve and quiet faith in me. My slight nod confirmed our unspoken pact to expose Ethan's treachery while reclaiming my future. Ethan's recent unmasking had shattered any illusions. His hypocrisy and betrayal made Ben's opposition to the Zhou family my greatest asset. After all, alliances form against common foes. The Shin Corporation's rivalry with the Zhou family presented my golden opportunity. One I intended to exploit fully. Let's go. Claire. Ethan reappeared, draping an arm around me with practiced tenderness. I leaned into his embrace, my smile concealing icy calculation beneath its surface. The game was afoot, and Ethan remained blissfully unaware of the checkmate approaching. Back home, his excessive doting continued, simmering soups, foot massages, every gesture screaming manufactured devotion. I feigned exhaustion, observing his pantomime of concern through half-lidded eyes. His overcompensation betrayed itself. Wolves don't groom sheep without motive. Chapter 8, The Price of Greed. True to form, during my unguarded moment, Ethan casually inquired, "Claire, roughly how much did Uncle Sue leave you?" My spine stiffened, fury sparking like live wires. He backpedaled instantly, "Just making conversation. We should respect each other's privacy, even as partners." Now his reluctance to commit made sense. He'd been circling my inheritance like a vulture. All those busy workdays preventing him from attending father's funeral. I steadied my breathing. This parasite wouldn't touch a cent of father's legacy. Flashing a disarming smile, I teased, "So formal. Darling, we're family now." Extending fingers to indicate an astronomical sum. I watched greed ignite in his eyes. "Really, Claire?" He planted a sloppy kiss on my cheek. "Once the baby comes, let's buy a bigger home. My company's had some turbulence lately, this could stabilize everything." My internal sneer deepened. The fool actually thought I'd fund his failing ventures. His transparent scheming only confirmed what I'd known: our marriage bed-bred vipers. Not children. Let him keep dreaming of windfalls. By the time he realized the money would never materialize, Ben and I would have dismantled his empire brick by gilded brick. "All right then, Ethan. Feel free to use it if needed later." I squinted with a complacent smile, enunciating each word deliberately. "We're getting married anyway. No need to keep things separate between us." His excitement visibly intensified as he showered me with saccharine endearments until his phone notification interrupted. Glancing at the screen, he apologized. "Sorry, Claire. The company needs me for another meeting. Wait here for me. Okay?" I nodded, forcing indifference into my voice. "Go ahead. Work comes first." I stood motionless watching his retreating figure. What a consummate actor. Did he truly believe his honeyed words and counterfeit concern could erase his betrayal? Drawing a steadying breath, I refocused on my objectives, exposing Ethan and Emma's crimes, reclaiming marital assets, and restoring my reputation. His compulsive lying had reached pathological proportions. Company meetings had become his universal escape hatch whenever accountability loomed. After placating me, he'd inevitably scurry off to appease Emma. Their symbiotic greed fueled this perpetual charade, mutually exploitative yet shackled together by shared avarice. The sheer exhaustion of their perpetual scheming baffled me. How could anyone thrive in this quagmire of deceit? Perhaps they considered the spoils worth the moral bankruptcy. To me, This existence reeked of emptiness. My hospital encounter with Ben had sparked an unspoken alliance. We'd exchanged contacts. Our sparse communications laying groundwork for both Ethan's downfall and fragile trust building. While Ethan basked in delusions of my forgiveness, I photographed his confidential business proposal, the cornerstone of his commercial empire, and discreetly forwarded it to Ben. The document meant nothing to me beyond its value as leverage. Ben proved resourceful. Leveraging corporate connections to deliver explosive intel, Emma had been frequenting Ethan's office under the pretense of product endorsement. The revelation shocked yet didn't surprise me. Their partnership provided convenient cover for illicit activities, explaining Ethan's recent decrease in overtime. They'd grown bold, operating under corporate camouflage where I rarely ventured, especially during pregnancy. Little did they suspect my alliance with Ben. We bided time, accumulating evidence for maximum impact. Ben advocated strategic patience, let them entangle themselves deeper before springing the trap. His methodical approach impressed me, each calculated move tightening the noose around their necks. For now, I maintained the facade. Let them savor their imaginary security. When the reckoning came, it would be swift and absolute. Chapter 9. The chaotic days passed until Ben finally brought concrete news. The undercover he'd placed at Ethan's company reported that every time Emma visited the office, she'd lock herself in Ethan's private office for 30 minutes to an hour. This confirmation solidified my suspicions about their inappropriate relationship. What were they doing behind closed doors? We all knew. Working up the nerve to carry out such acts in the office proved how utterly shameless Emma and Ethan had become. Ben suggested that as Ethan's fiancée, publicly exposing their Wednesday lunchtime meetings would deliver the most devastating blow. Obviously, I agreed, which meant it was time to prepare a spectacular surprise. Or rather, a catastrophic humiliation. The next Wednesday at noon, I marched into Ethan's corporate building clutching a homemade lunchbox, stilettos clacking with vindictive glee. Today marked the end of their little charade. The receptionist Lucy recognized me immediately. Mrs. Joe. What a pleasant. Don't call me that yet. I cut her off, wobbling dramatically on my heels. I braced a hand against my thigh, grimacing. We're not even married. Gasps erupted as nearby employees rushed over. Are you hurt? Lucy steadied me, her concern bordering on panic. Just twisted my ankle. I bit my lip to suppress a smirk, savoring the audience. Lucy insisted on escorting me to Ethan's office. Her arm looped protectively around mine while others carried my lunchbox like a holy relic. The procession of wide-eyed onlookers trailing behind was pure theater. Outside the locked office, I waved off Lucy's attempt to knock. No need to interrupt. With trembling fingers that had nothing to do with pain, I recited the door code. Darkness swallowed us as the door swung open. Heavy curtains choked out daylight, leaving only a dim lamp to illuminate the writhing shadows on the leather couch. Ragged breathing, no, moaning, echoed grotesquely through the room. Neither noticed their audience. Too busy, it seemed, rehearsing for a pornographic film. In their world, there was only each other, and everything else seemed to fade away. But a sudden scream shattered the moment. The employee dropped the lunchbox in shock, watching it crash to the floor with a thunderous bang. Food splattered everywhere, filling the air with the scent of spilled meals. Office lights flickered on, freezing their entangled bodies mid-motion. Their wide eyes mirrored panic, clothes disheveled and hair mussed like participants in some absurd comedy sketch. Footsteps already echoed outside the door, accompanied by hushed whispers. Colleagues pressed against the glass, drawn by the commotion though unable to see through the blinds. My entire body shook uncontrollably, hot tears blurring my vision. Ethan. You both, the words caught in my throat like broken glass. Ethan scrambled to drape his suit jacket over Emma's exposed shoulders, fumbling with his belt buckle. Claire. It's not what you, his trembling hands betrayed him as he struggled for words. Then explain what it is. I screamed, hurling my own lunch container against the wall. Pasta sauce splattered across corporate mission statements, the crash reverberating through the open plan office. Rage burned through me, incinerating every rational thought. Emma sat frozen. Cherry blossom lipstick smeared across her cheek. Her designer blouse hung half unbuttoned. Manicured nails clutching at the makeshift cover of Ethan's jacket. She opened her mouth but no sound emerged. The usually poised social media influencer reduced to a stammering mess. Ethan's gaze darted between us. His CEO composure cracking. Claire. This is the workplace. Lower your voice and let's. My palm met his cheek with a crack that silenced the murmurs outside. You're worried about appearances now? I clutched my rounded belly. The Tiffany engagement ring digging into my flesh. I'm carrying your child. Planning our Hamptons wedding. And you're. The monitors around us flickered with unfinished PowerPoint slides as I turned to Emma. Sister? No, Emma. The influencer I sponsored for our maternity line? Bitter laughter escaped me. Was our family's charity foundation just your dating pool? Security monitors blinked red in the corner as Ethan backed toward his mahogany desk. Claire. Please. We're done. The words tasted like ashes. The wedding's off. My Jimmy Choos crunched through spilled rice as I turned. Pregnancy bump leading the charge through the gawking crowd. Ethan lunged forward but froze at the sea of iPhone cameras. In that split second, I saw it, the exact moment the Joe family heir chose corporate image over reconciliation. The lock clicked behind his retreat, sealing his fate. TikTok notifications already buzzed in interns' pockets as I stabbed the elevator button. Let the board deal with their tarnished golden boy. My hands instinctively cradled the life within me, the only real thing left in this gilded cage of lies. The steel doors closed on gasps and flashing lights, carrying me toward uncertain freedom. Stepping out of the building, I took a deep breath and felt the sunlight warm my face. Though the ache in my heart remained, I knew time would slowly heal all wounds. It was time to rebuild my life. Exhausted after returning home, I collapsed onto my plush bed. After such emotional turmoil, both my body and mind desperately needed rest. I slept soundly until waking naturally, feeling significantly refreshed. Reaching for my phone, I saw a message from Ben. You handled things well. The response has been favorable. His words were concise yet carried subtle approval. I frowned slightly, puzzled. Did he know about today's events? Or was this about work? Before I could dwell on it, breaking news caught my attention. Scrolling through Twitter's trending topics, I found Emma dominating over a dozen hashtags. Her name spread virally across Twitter, TikTok, and major forums. The explosive headline hashtag Emma steals sister's boyfriend topped the charts, sparking endless speculation and vitriol. Sympathizers, mockers, and gleeful spectators swarmed the comments. Despite Ethan's threats to silence company staff, Ben's moles had clearly captured photos and videos, the smoking gun that ignited this firestorm. Emma had recently returned from filming abroad, her performance praised by an Oscar-winning director. This career-defining role had cemented her A-list status until these leaks surfaced. Anti-fans and rival studios weaponized the scandal, demolishing her public image overnight. The industry darling had plummeted from grace, her accolades replaced by scorn. I set down my phone with mixed emotions. Within the hour, Emma's agency released a carefully worded statement heavy with resignation. The once radiant star had been blacklisted, forced to abandon the spotlight she loved. Barring miracles, her career was over. The internet erupted. Yet I felt no pity. Even as sisters. Even after my constant consideration. She'd stabbed me through the heart with betrayal. Her disgrace brought no satisfaction. Only lingering pain from her deception. The proud diva was likely weeping in some hideout now. Her downfall self-inflicted. Days passed peacefully without Ethan's harassment or Emma's shadow. I began rebuilding my life. Ethan hadn't returned home since the scandal, too ashamed to face me. Perhaps finally recognizing his mistakes. Too late. Chapter 11, Losing Control. I had no desire to seek him out. Unwilling to reopen old wounds. Letting go felt necessary, of failed relationships. Irreparable pasts. Scrolling through Twitter, I paused at Ben's new post, photos of Emma attempting low-key outings, only to be mobbed by former fans turned hecklers. Their furious chases ended with a man shielding her, Ben himself. Trending topic secured. Await my signal. His deep voice message anchored me amidst chaos. He remained puppet master, controlling when and how revelations unfolded. This intricate web left me waiting passively for his next move. The doorbell interrupted my thoughts. Opening it, I froze. Ethan's parents stood there, their unexpected visit tightening my chest. Claire. His mother began anxiously. How have you been feeling lately? Mrs. Joe began with a warm smile, her voice gentle and eyes filled with feigned concern. Her greeting flowed as naturally as if our previous tensions had never existed. I cut through the pretense immediately. Auntie. Let's speak plainly. I refused to tolerate more family lies, only raw truth mattered now. You're a sensible girl. Claire. Mrs. Joe transitioned smoothly, her tone hardening. As women, I'll share some hard truths. Men will always stray, it's simply nature. You'll understand this with age. Her unsettling calmness suggested decades of rationalizing infidelity, her words dripping with subtle gaslighting. I remained silent, fists clenched under the table. Arguing would be pointless against this entrenched worldview. This time was Ethan's mistake. She conceded airily, as if discussing a spilled drink rather than betrayal. We've reprimanded him. Her dismissiveness choked the room. When she added, you mustn't stress in your condition. The mask slipped completely, they only cared about their heir. Mr. Joe slid a black card across the table. Let this go. Claire. For everyone's peace. His pleading eyes sickened me. They thought money could erase trauma. All right. I monotoned, pocketing the card. This wasn't surrender but capital, seed money for my escape. Ethan shuffled and then, guilt radiating from his hunched shoulders. Mrs. Joe chided. Stop sulking. Claire's forgiven you. The matriarch turned to me expectantly. Isn't that right? Of course. I lied smoothly. If he reforms, I'll move on. Relief flooded Ethan's face. It was Emma who came on to me. He blurted. You're my only love. His Oscar-worthy performance almost convinced me, until I noticed how rehearsed it sounded. Tears welled on cue. I believe you. Ethan. Mrs. Joe beamed. See? Couples always reconcile. The room erupted in hollow laughter, theater for a pregnancy they'd weaponize. But my hand rested protectively over my abdomen. This child would know truth. Not generations of lies. The Joe family's game ended now. Her words carried a traditional wisdom, as if telling us that marital conflicts are temporary and reconciliation can always be found if we're willing. After they left me to rest, I overheard Mrs. Joe whispering to Ethan. Joe, I told you we could have settled this by throwing some money at her. No need for complications. Her contemptuous tone suggested she believed I could be bought. Ethan agreed with a sneer. Exactly. His disdain revealed he saw me as controllable through money and sweet talk. The hypocrisy made me sick. This same man would later cook for me and whisper empty affection. Unaware I knew his true nature. Chapter 12. The shock eye concealed my disgust, letting Ethan drown in guilt. He answered every probing question about his company, unknowingly handing me ammunition. Each corporate secret went straight to Ben Shin. When Ben acted, Ethan's empire crumbled overnight, profits vanished. Stocks plummeted. Flagship projects evaporated. Drunk and desperate one night, Ethan slurred. Emma, wait for me. My blood turned to ice hearing him beg for my sister's forgiveness. Their star-crossed lovers' act would have been touching if not for the billions they'd stolen and lives they'd destroyed. I called Ben. My voice steel. How much longer? Right now. He laughed, the trap springing as we spoke. By dawn, headlines exploded. Emma Sue's new romance trend. Social media erupted while Ethan obliviously left for work. I casually read the trending topic aloud. Emma's dating again? Ethan. Looks like my sister's truly moved on. His ashen face confirmed everything. I tried to keep my voice steady, but the turmoil inside refused to settle. Ethan stood across from me, sunlight from the window gilding his sharp features. I noticed the subtle twitch in his jawline, the barely contained emotion flashing through his eyes before he schooled his expression. His lips pressed into a bloodless line as he inhaled deeply. "I see," he finally said, the words unnervingly flat. He pulled out his phone the moment he stepped into the hallway, thumbs flying across the screen with desperate urgency. When he returned minutes later, his voice cracked as he whispered, "Isn't this that doctor from last time?" His confusion hung thick between us. "Oh, you're right." I widened my eyes in feigned realization, letting a knowing smile play on my lips. Ethan's fist slammed against the table as he shot to his feet. "Claire. Listen, that's Ben's bastard. The Shen's black sheep who's been sabotaging our company." Spittle flew from his trembling lips. "Our quarterly losses? The delayed payroll? All his doing. I'll make him pay." The door shuddered in its frame when he stormed out, his rage echoing through empty corridors. Whether this fury stemmed from corporate rivalry or lingering feelings for Emma, only Ethan truly knew. My gaze dropped to the news article on my screen, grainy paparazzi shots of Ben shielding Emma from cameras, followed by glossy images of them smiling amidst blooming gardens. The perfect power couple portrait. I had to admire Ben's media savvy. These carefully staged leaks would dominate headlines for weeks, dealing a double blow to Ethan's crumbling empire and wounded pride. But nothing prepared me for Ethan's meltdown. Instead of border warfare, he arrived at Ben's penthouse with a goon squad, screaming about betrayal and stolen love until police intervened. The Doe family lawyers barely kept him out of jail, though the real cost became clear when he reappeared in my office days later, a broken man in a wrinkled suit. "They're ruining me, Claire," he choked out, tears streaking his unshaven face. 2 weeks without payroll, suppliers cutting us off, his shoulders shook with dry sobs. I said nothing. The once untouchable air now reaped what he'd sown. My fingers traced the news photos again, Ben's arm around Emma, their laughter frozen in pixels. This chess game had just claimed its first king. Whenever Ethan starts with that melodramatic act, I know he's scheming about my father's inheritance. The greed and impatience flashing in his eyes make my heart sink. When money's involved, humanity's ugliest traits always surface. I hand him a check, forcing a reassuring smile. "Ethan, take this for emergencies." His eyes instantly light up like he's grabbed a lifeline. The moment the check touches his fingers, he turns to leave without so much as a thank you. No pretense of affection remains. His hurried, decisive strides remind me of a criminal fleeing a crime scene. Money and power have corroded his soul beyond recognition. As he disappears, so does my resolve to stay. I won't remain his pawn any longer. Packing essentials, I check into a hotel where plush carpet cushions my steps and tasteful oil paintings adorn the walls. Sunlight filters through gauzy curtains onto the king-sized bed with its cloud-soft duvet, a stark contrast to the emotional wasteland I'm escaping. Here, without Ethan's constant betrayals and family drama, I finally breathe. Ben personally oversees my procedure, his clinical precision softened by genuine concern. "Are you certain, Claire?" he asks during pre-op, his steady gaze acknowledging the gravity while respecting my autonomy. At 5 months pregnant, termination remains medically feasible though emotionally devastating. The recovery room's antiseptic silence amplifies my turmoil. Through nursery glass, I glimpse the tiny form that never drew breath, a guilt-laden ache piercing deeper than any physical wound. "You deserved better," I whisper to the stillness, tears salting fresh resolve. No child should inherit fractured love or conditional welcome. 2 hours later, 43 missed calls from Ethan light up my phone. The fake check revelation must have reached him. Let the financial wolves circle, I'm already gone. Rebuilding from ashes where his poison can't reach. I let out a soft sigh, my disappointment and anger toward him deepening. I knew his current anxiety wasn't for me, but for that worthless check. Another call came through, and I smiled faintly before answering. "Claire." Ethan's voice sounded frantic and disheveled through the receiver. That check you gave me last time, it's invalid. I can't cash it. When I went home looking for you, your parents said you weren't there. Where are you? You need to come back immediately. The company can't hold on much longer. We're going bankrupt. I relished the panic in his voice. His anger and anxiety traveled through the phone lines like invisible ripples. Yet couldn't touch me. His frustration escalated. Claire, I order you to return at once. Are you even listening? His tone turned imperious, each word dripping with command. I mocked lightly. Of course. Who'd dare ignore CEO Joe? My playful lilt could probably make him envision my smirk. You. Ethan's voice cracked with barely contained rage. Ethan. My voice hardened with finality. I've thought it through. I can't forgive you. We're done. Silence. Then disbelief. What? Why? Claire. Give me one reason. I'm begging you here. His plea carried theatrical desperation. A deliverman's voice suddenly interrupted. Mr. Joe? Please sign for this package. The perfect comedic timing froze Ethan mid-performance. I pictured him in his penthouse, silk robe askew. Expensive watch glinting, his carefully crafted melodrama crumbling before some minimum wage worker holding a cardboard box. Get lost. I didn't order anything. Ethan's shout trembled with unraveling composure. I drawled. No need for hysterics. Ethan. Consider this my farewell gift. Aren't you curious to open it? He paused. Hope creeping in. Claire. I knew you wouldn't be heartless. Go ahead. You'll love it. Rustling paper filled the line. I stifled laughter. This fool actually thought I'd mail him cash. Typical Ethan. Forever the self-important visionary who believed even betrayal could be monetized. The scream that followed could have shattered crystal. Claire. You psycho. This is our baby. Exactly. The package contained termination documents and clinical photographs, every brutal detail from that clinic visit. I'd specifically requested high-resolution images, wanting him to see every pixel of our destroyed future. His anguished roar pierced my ear. Yet I felt nothing. Let him taste the bitterness he'd force-fed me through months of lies. Well? I inquired sweetly. Do you like your present? My voice carried a hint of sarcasm, knowing this gift would devastate him. Without allowing rebuttal, I continued coldly. Want to know why? My tone hardened with resolve, prepared for his fury. Ethan Joe. I'm done. The words burst forth with finality. You and Emma's affair, did you think I'd never discover it? My accusation hung sharp in the air, exposing their long-concealed betrayal. I knew since that drunken party where you mocked my weight. The memory of his cruel laughter resurfaced, stripping away all illusions. We're through. The dial tone buzzed as relief flooded me. No more wasted years on this toxic man. New beginnings awaited. Yet, rehearsed 1,000 times, hot tears betrayed me at the windowsill. Each droplet carried grief for my naivety and hope for rebirth. Love shouldn't demand such self-erasure. Wincing from recent surgery, I clutched the tiny cedar box against the cemetery wind. The miniature headstone stabbed my soul, simple dates marking fleeting existence. Forgive me, I whispered through trembling hands. Find joy in your next life. My apology dissolved into autumn leaves. Inadequate yet necessary. Returning to the hospital. Dr. Benjamin Shin waited in his white coat, warmth radiating through his professional demeanor. Miss Claire. He offered tissues. Our collusion against Ethan unspoken between us. Thank you. I dabbed my eyes, remembering our calculated takedown of Joe family's corruption. Consider it closure, Ben said gently. Indeed, time to bury the gullible girl who trusted too freely. Let lawyers handle the divorce papers. Let investigators dismantle Joe Enterprises. My rebirth began today. Scars and all. I got up and dressed, determination filling my heart. I was ready to start anew. I picked up the luggage I'd brought to the hospital room earlier from the nightstand, placing it gently on the floor. Turning to look at Ben, I found him watching me from a short distance away. concern lingering in his eyes. "Let's go," I said softly. "All right." Ben nodded, coming over to support me while grabbing the suitcase with his free hand. His movements were careful and deliberate, bringing me unexpected comfort. We walked out of the hospital room together, passing through sterile corridors until we emerged into the daylight. The airport-bound car ride hummed with anticipation. Los Angeles awaited, a city of limitless possibilities where I'd rebuild my life and chase happiness. This departure felt permanent, a clean break from the place that had caused me so much pain and the memories that still ached. Drawing a deep breath, I lifted my chin to face the road ahead. New beginnings always bring challenges, but I felt ready to meet them head on. At the boarding gate, I waved and said, "Goodbye." Ben smiled warmly, countering with, "See you around." What did he mean by that? I puzzled over it as the plane pierced through cloud layers. Below us stretched endless skies, while ahead lay vast horizons. Maybe he intended to update me later about Emma and Ethan's misfortunes, not that I cared to hear it anymore.